Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our March 6th regular monthly meeting of the school board for Danville Public Schools. We will begin with the roll call.
Okay. Ms. Bryant? Here. Dr. Campbell?
Present.
Ms. Hall?
Here.
Ms. Hughes? Reverend Wilson?
Here.
Ms. Bolton?
Here.
Dr. Paul Hammons?
Here. All right, and then we have an agenda to be approved. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Ms. Hall and Ms. Bolton. Any discussion? Then please call the roll.
Ms. Bolton?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Dr. Paul Hammons?
Yes.
Reverend Wilson?
Yes.
All right. Let's see here. We do have 3 sets of minutes for your approval this evening. That would be the February 3rd joint meeting, February 6th the regular meeting, and the February 21st work session. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? And please call the roll, Ms. Bolton.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Dr. Paul Hammons?
Yes.
Reverend Wilson?
Yeah.
Ms. Bolton?
Yes.
All right, then we have consent items, including the disciplinary hearing panel. Are there any requests to remove items from the consent agenda?
The chair, I request to pull 126, please.
126, yes, sir. Any others? All right, then to approve the consent items with the exclusion of discipline case ending in 126. And we have a motion for that.
Chair, I move we approve.
Have a motion from Dr. Campbell to approve consent with the one exception.
Second.
With a second, thank you very much. Any discussion on that? Then please call the roll.
Okay. Dr. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Dr. Paul Hammons?
Yes.
Reverend Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Bolton?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Very good. And now, we are going to do several wonderful presentations this evening. And the very first one is going to feature students from Grove Park and Northside Preschools for a musical presentation. Ms. Smith, would you like to introduce them and bring them in, please?
Good evening.
Good evening.
We are very excited to have our students from Northside and Grove Park Preschool present a musical this evening to us. We have 12 students that are combined between the 2 preschools, and we do have our 2 principals that are with the students. They are getting ready back there to come out, and so we're going to give them just a little bit of time so they can come out and present 3 short songs to us. And they're very excited as they have practiced very hard on that this evening. And under the direction of their musical teacher, Mr. Grant Poole, he will be directing them, and so they'll be coming before you shortly.
Excellent.
Go
Wesley, move over.
Hi. How are you today?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Our first song for you is a hope that we're going to have a lot of sun tomorrow. And we won't get as much ice. Are you guys ready? Yeah. Okay, I want to hear you nice and pretty.
Play
You guys remember? Okay. The dog has eaten the pigs in a hurry, the cat's in a fray. Higgledy piggledy, dickory dickory dock. The pig flew up in the air. The man in brown soon rolling down. Dickory dickory dock. Let's sing it again one more time, a little louder. Higgledy piggledy, the dog has eaten the pigs in a hurry, the cat's in a fray. Higgledy piggledy, dickory dickory dock. The pig flew up in the air. The man in brown soon rolling down. Dickory dickory dock. Good job. That song, of course, was Higgledy Piggledy Pop, which is one of our rhyming songs that we do a lot with in preschool. And this last song that we're going to sing for you is our song that we sing at the very end of every class. Are you guys ready? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Skinnamarink-a-dink-a-dink, skinnamarink-a-doo. I love you. Skinnamarink-a-dink-a-dink, skinnamarink-a-doo. I love you. I love you in the morning and in the afternoon. I love you in the evening and underneath the moon. Oh, skinnamarink-a-dink-a-dink, skinnamarink-a-doo. I love you. Good job. Just so you know who's up here singing, this is only 11 of our about 250 preschoolers that we have in Danville Public Schools. This is Layla and Emmanuel and Wesley and Kamora and Annabeth and Aiden and Kimaya and Bryson and Madison and Luke and Rebecca.
All right.
Thank you.
She was excited. She was very
I don't know how we can possibly follow that. Oh, that was precious, and we certainly want to thank Mr. Poole and everyone involved with the preschool music program. Wonderful to see those children here this evening. And if you get a chance, go by Northside or Grove Park and visit with them. It's a wonderful experience anytime you're in either one of those buildings with those delightful little ones. All right, we now move to honoring some slightly more advanced students in Danville Public Schools. And we're going to call to the dais there, Ms. Melanie Stowe, to recognize something at the national level. Ms. Stowe, please.
Good evening, Chairman Pahamas, members of the board. I would at this time like to ask Mr. Larry Toomer and a student representative if they would join me. It is a sincere honor to make this presentation Similar to an Oscar, a gold medal, the Heisman Trophy, public education has a premier, nationally recognized award, the Magna Award. The Magna Award exemplifies world-class educational opportunities. The Magna Award is excellence. The Magna Awards is a program that's co-sponsored by the National School Board Association and the American School Board Journal. It recognizes school board best practices, innovative programs that support student achievement. Magna nominations are judged according to 3 enrollment categories: under 5,000, 5,000 to 20,000, and over 20,000. In each category, there is 1 grand prize winner, 5 winners, and 5 honorable mention. Danville Public Schools is one of 11 school systems in the country to receive a Magna Award for 2014. The Gentleman by Choice Club is a 2014 Magna Award Honorable Mention recipient. As a Magna Award recipient, Danville Public Schools will be featured in the American School Board Journal this month. The National School Board Association will recognize Danville Public Schools next month at their annual conference in Louisiana. There will also be state-level recognitions by the Virginia School Board Association and the Virginia Department of Education. We are in great company. Other 2014 Magna Award recipients showcased foreign language academies, an outdoor environmental center, and a Bring Your Own Device initiative. I would like to ask all of the members of the Gentleman by Choice program if they would please stand. And please stay standing. The young men standing here are world class. This is what excellence looks like. The Magna Award is our gold medal, and I'd like to present this to Mr. Toomer and the student representative.
Let them come up and be seen.
Okay.
And get their picture back.
Yeah, come on up around the horseshoe here, gentlemen.
And I'm going to let Mr. Toomer share, while you're standing here, a few remarks about your program. Thank you.
Well, listen, I want to just say how honored I am to, we are honored to receive the award. I'm just a little put up there. And I did not start this program for anything like this. I certainly, truly, as I said at our induction ceremony to the parents, thank you for every day sharing this awesome gift of your sons with us. And while they're in my care, I try to treat them. I treat you guys okay? Their lobby of my office is theirs. They have their own computer, they have their refrigerator, they have all their snacks. They come out when they want to, with a pass, of course, from the teacher. I will let Matthew Purvis, our president, speak, and he will introduce the gentlemen that are here. We have 32 gentlemen. Our guys are in some of everything, soccer, all the sports that you can name. I'll mess up. AP classes. This is top-notch group right here, and they desire to be in the program. We are honored to be here. We are honored that Ms. Stowe took it upon herself to think that we were worthy to be entered into this prestigious competition, and we placed. Who knew? Grayson is not here. Grayson is assistant to the advisor. That's me. He said on television, on Chalk Talk, when Mrs. I knew I messed up names. Locker. Thank you so much. When she did our interview a year ago, he said that he would like to see us go nationally. And when he said it, I laughed. I said, "You're right." And here we are. So who knew? Who knew? So I'm going to be quiet. I'm the facilitator. These guys, this is their program, and they are exceptional, not because I say it, but because they really work hard at it. Matthew?
Thank you. As Mr. Toomer, Harry Toomer said, I'm the president of the Gentleman by Choice Club. My name is Matthew Purvis. I just think a lot of these guys, they're my own true brothers. Just a little something about the club. Like you said, we're comprised of 32 members, and basically what we do is go around to the middle schools and elementary schools, Bonner, Westwood, Schofield, and Woodbury, and mentor the young students and try to influence them to do the right thing, because they are our future and we want them to be as best of students and young men as they possibly can be. Each time we go visit, we go every Tuesday in the morning and just sit and meet with them. We go over a little lesson that we comprise together and just talk to them, get their input of what they want to talk about, things that may be troubling home or at school, and try to give them positive feedback on how they should handle it in a positive way, or how, if things are going in a negative way, what they should do to try to make them better. And that's just something I know, speaking for myself, that I just love doing and love impacting someone else's life in a better way, because it just makes me feel good. And I don't know about these guys as well, but I just love this club. I'm very privileged to be the president of it, and hope to lead the next group of students who are going to join the Gentlemen by Choice Club to do better as well. Thank you.
You see why I enjoy this. I mean, this guy, all of them are awesome. Thank you again for allowing us to have the program. Mr. Jackson, thank you for allowing us. Dr. Newsom, all of you guys. You see why I'm with these guys. Okay, I don't have to do anything. They just throw it out.
We certainly appreciate all that Mr. Toomer has done to get this particular organization started at George Washington High School. And since he did not mention it himself, I will tell the crowd that these young men are so excited about what they're accomplishing in this group that they are looking to expand by going to the middle schools to see about having similar kinds of organizations at the middle school level in Danville Public Schools. And I want to commend these young men for thinking of others in that way, so that this program might grow and become something even more than the national award winner it already is. So we thank you folks so much for being here tonight. It's just a pleasure to have you as students in Danville Public Schools. Thanks to everyone at GWA involved in any way with this. One more round of applause. The next item on our agenda was a brand new idea that just surfaced this year. It's entitled Community Partner of the Month. And because of the impending weather nearby, not so much what's here, but what's a little bit further west, the gentleman who was to receive on behalf of his organization the first award for Community Partner of the Month was not able to stay this late into the evening. So we will reschedule that at an upcoming board meeting when the weather is more likely to be cooperative. So we will now move to item 4.4, Music in Our Schools Month. We have a proclamation that we approved at our last work session that I will be honored to read. And then Ms. Smith is going to come up and honor the music professionals who work in our schools, including Mr. Poole. So, Music in Our Schools Month, March 2014, entitled Music Lasts a Lifetime. Whereas the study of music is basic to the complete education, provides a competitive edge for successful educational reform, engages students in individual and group activity, develops creativity, problem solving, and critical and evaluative skills. And whereas music education helps students acquire skills in production and performance of music, as well as an understanding of history and culture. And whereas the National Association of Music Education is concerned with maintaining and improving school music programs for all students, regardless of their socioeconomic status or their abilities. Therefore, be it hereby resolved, the Danville Public Schools commends student musicians for their concern for and efforts to enhance the quality of music education, and be it further resolved that the Danville School Board hereby proclaims the month of March 2014 as Music in Our Schools Month and endorses the observance as an opportunity to support the purposes and practices of music education and encourages teachers, students, and all citizens to participate. We thank you so much, everyone who's involved in the music programs, and now I'll invite Ms. Smith to give some specific thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Paul Hamus. We are very pleased to have our music teachers that are representative of Danville Public Schools that provide each of our schools every day with cultivating music and orchestra, band, concert choir, and as well as you saw tonight, starting with our pre-K students at our 2 preschools, starting out with the music in our schools at our preschool level. At this time, to show our appreciation to our music teachers and to all of our principals that are here and teachers as well, I'm going to call each of our music teachers' names by school and ask that each of them stand so that we can see each of them and we know individually who they are. So at this time, again, we appreciate all that you do and we would love to see who you all are. So I'm going to call Mr. Purvis, Reggie Purvis, if you're here. He is a music teacher for Gibson and GW High School. Mr. Chuck Sexton, Bonner, GW High School Orchestra. Katie Mitchell, Bonner Band. Franita Griffin, Bonner Orchestra. Damon McNair, Westwood Band. Don Hudson, Westwood Orchestra. Leanne Sheridan, Westwood and GW High School. Gary Jack, Woodbury. Kelly Mayhew, Park Avenue. Ashley Walden, Johnson Elementary. Jacob Mertz, Gibson Elementary. Cody Kessling, Forest Hills Elementary. Abigail Todd, Schoolfield Elementary. And Mr. Grant Poole, Grove Park and Northside Preschool. Thank you for all that you do. We appreciate everything that you do for our students, and let's everyone give them a round of applause.
Very, very good. And I will point out for the audience that several of those music teachers are out of town. This is the week of the competitions, the festivals going on. So I believe some of our students may still be out of town on those trips. We thank them for everything that they do. Next item on our agenda, another proclamation for the month of March. And because of her long-time interest in the art program in the schools and her eagerness every spring to carry our award-winning art to the regional competition of the Virginia School Boards Association, Ms. Bolton is going to read the proclamation.
Okay. Whereas art education contributes powerful educational benefits to all elementary and secondary students, including the following. Art education develops students' creative problem-solving and critical thinking abilities. Art education teaches sensitivity to beauty, order, and other expressive qualities. Art education gives students a deeper understanding of multicultural values and beliefs. Art education reinforces and brings to life what students learn in other subjects. And art education interrelates student learning in art production, art history, art criticism, and aesthetics. And whereas our national leaders have acknowledged the necessity of including art experiences in all students' education, and whereas March is officially recognized as Youth Art Month, we endorse the observance of Youth Art Month and encourage the support of quality school art programs for children and youth. Now, therefore, the Danville School Board proclaims that March 2014 be observed as Youth Art Month in Danville Public Schools.
Very good. And now we will invite Ms. Smith back up to the lectern and recognize the specific individuals.
Thank you. We also appreciate our art teachers and all that they do for us on a daily basis in Danville Public Schools to provide our students with art and art expressions. We have several teachers, and we also have our artists in residence as well that give our students our art activities on a daily basis. I will read the names of the teachers and the schools, and if you will also stand as well. At Galileo High School, Leah Walker. Langston, James Lewis, and Cheryl Allen. At GW High School, Francis Doer, Michelle Bloomer, Sandra Marsh, Linda Huggins, and Susan Farmer. At Westwood, Patricia White. At Bonner, Angela Von Fossen and Sarah Emerson. And our artists in residence at Gibson, Kate Hawker and Bridget Heiler. Schofield Elementary, Judy Suddeth and Linda Gurley. Forest Hills Elementary, Debbie Cross. Johnson Elementary, Rose Sidnor. Park Avenue, Matthew Payne. Grove Park and Northside, Kay Bagby. And Woodbury, Maddie Travis. Let's give our art teachers a round of applause.
We thank you, each and every one, for contributing to the education of the young people in very creative ways. Thank you all. We now move to the public hearing on the proposed budget. We're going to do this in basically 3 phases this evening. The first phase will be the presentation by Dr. Osborne to the board of draft number 1 of the upcoming budget. Then the second phase this evening will be basically questions and comments from the board through the superintendent, and any of the assistant superintendents might be called upon to help in those responses. And then once we have done those 2, we will then open the public hearing for anyone here in the room tonight to speak about budget priorities for 2014-15 in Danville Public Schools. So we shall begin with Dr. Osborne with the presentation of draft number 1.
Good snowy evening.
You have a room for the night, right?
Draft number 1 of the 2014-2015 budget for Danville Public Schools is based on total revenues of $58,210,441. Those are the revenues indicated in the governor's proposed budget. As has been our practice for many years, we break the draft process down into 3 component parts, and I will remind everyone that this one-page document represents only the changes from the current budget year. And as we move forward through the draft process, draft 2, which is based on the House and Senate, and then draft 3, which is the final budget that's been approved, we will move through the budgeting process with the final adoption by April the 30th of 2014. Draft 1 includes mandates of $1,424,668. Mandates are those things, those expenditures that we have little to no control over, things that we must do. Draft 1 budget includes mandates of $895,707, which represents the increases from the Virginia retirement system. Transfer of preschool positions from Title I and transfer of preschool positions from Title I due to increased student allocation for the Virginia Preschool Initiative. Our new initiatives are broken down into instruction, superintendent, human resources, and administrative services. New initiatives include those items that we currently have in our operations but were not included in the 2013-14 budget. Those include a social worker, changes in number of months of employment for guidance counselors, clerical support at 3 of our schools, additional staff to support Scholars Academy, and cross-country team materials and supplies and fees for Galileo. A new budget request for a half-time special education teacher at Scholars Academy, and additional required technology expenditures related to moving forward with Google Apps for Education and other software needs as our division grows in technology. Total initiatives for instruction, $522,008. New initiatives under superintendent. One that is in place already but was not included in the budget, a director of communications. New requests for 14-15, deputy superintendent and 2 executive directors. Total new initiatives for the superintendent, $500,483. No new initiatives for human resources. Under administrative services, items currently are expenditures currently in operation but not included in the budget, a transportation trainer. This is someone who provides training to bus drivers and people who come to us in the process of becoming a bus driver. New requests for 14-15, an additional clerical for transportation, and an assistant director of maintenance and a security coordinator. That's one position. Total new initiatives for administrative services, $223,360. Total new initiatives, $1,245,851. We look at the mandates and the new initiatives, and those are expenditures. Because they're not included in our current budget operations, we must cut programs or cut services or find ways to eliminate costs. And we call that savings and cost avoidance. Savings and cost avoidance to help us be able to balance our budget and include those things that are important to us to continue forward. We received increased funding from the Virginia Preschool Initiative. We also received additional state dollars and local funding sources dollars. Line item reductions from our budget worksheets and salaries. And this might be, for example, we look at the trend in spending for utilities and find that over the past 3 to 5 years we have included more money in the budget than we actually spent. So we would adjust this coming year's budget so that we are more in line in the budget with what we're actually spending on a year-to-year basis. Total savings and cost avoidance, $2,670,519.
Thank you very much, Dr. Osborne. And if you'd like to just return to your seat, we're going to address our questions through the superintendent. But any of those assistants over there might be called upon as needed to help us understand pieces of this. So, members of the board, do you have questions or comments about any of the items on draft 1 of the upcoming budget. Yes, Ms. Bryant?
Not in the instruction area, because I'm very understanding of those items, but under superintendent's section, I would like the superintendent at some point to give us an in-depth reasoning for the positions of deputy superintendent and executive directors, and maybe more clarification of what's going to be done with the entire organization of the central office staff.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to mention, and like to for the public to understand, especially our staff, is that this is a snapshot of new initiatives, and there will be several, at least one particular initiative that, as we receive a clear picture, a recommendation that will be forthcoming at another meeting will be something that's very important for all of our staff, and that would be a compensation request within the budget for all of our staff, teachers, bus drivers, everyone. So that is not reflected in this particular snapshot. But in terms of your specific question, when I first entered, we entered with a 100-day entry plan. And the entry plan stated that the superintendent would be listening to all stakeholders and doing a analysis of the needs within the school division. The stakeholder input was very important, and that input is being used for the development, which is complete now, our Blueprint for Excellence. As a component of the 100-day entry plan, we commissioned a transition team. And the transition team had a thorough review of 4 specific areas within our school division, which you'll see a little bit later in the overview of the blueprint. In that investigation and recommendations, it was seen and considered that some of our practices had to be aligned to the needs of our students, the needs of our staff. And based upon those recommendations, it was evident to me and to staff that some reorganization needed to take place. And in the reorganization, it is really pretty much a comprehensive alignment of services, whether it be human resources, classroom, teaching, support services for students and for schools. And in this reorganization and alignment, certain positions are needed to be in place to ensure that the quality of teaching and learning and services are forthcoming to our students, staff, and to our division at large. These are 2 of the positions that I've seen, 3, that would be needed to further our move towards the future, especially as it relates to our blueprint. When I present the blueprint to the board, the entire plan, at the next work session, I'll also present to the board for approval a organizational chart. The organizational chart will show all of the positions that we need to move the division forward. And the board will have a clear picture of how these 3 positions forward the Blueprint for Excellence. And so, since this is a snapshot, and that you're going to have a more complete rollout of the blueprint, then I will be presenting to the board and the public the entire organizational chart. So these positions are within that chart.
Which we will get at the work session.
No, you'll get the chart before then,
right,
along with the blueprint, and we will be able to align that with the transition plan or report.
That's this month's work session?
Yes.
March 21st.
Right.
Okay. Yes, Dr. Campbell.
Dr. Osborne, can I just have a little bit more information about the Assistant Director of Maintenance Security Coordinator?
Yes. As you are aware, our Director of Maintenance and Operations has been a staple in Danville Public Schools for over 30 years, almost 40 years. And this individual has worked in maintenance and operations this entire time. As they say, from soup to nuts, or in this case, from foundations to roofs. And he knows everything about all of our buildings and all of our maintenance operations. As we know, this individual will retire, likely before a lot longer, and we do not currently have an assistant director. We decided after much discussion that the learning curve for bringing someone new in after this individual had retired would put the division at great disadvantage. We feel that it would benefit Danville Public Schools knowing what we're moving forward with in terms of having our facilities assessments and the results of those assessments indicating that we need to repair, replace, renovate, maybe multiple structures over the next 5 years. We feel it's prudent to bring someone in to learn from Mr. Ramsey so that that person will not be new to the work and will be able to just step right in if and when that time comes.
I just want to say one thing as relates to that. As you look at the Assistant Director of Maintenance, there's a slash that says Security Coordinator. I believe the system, our division needs someone to make sure that our students, staff are safe at all times, that our schools are safe in terms of safety measures, and so we need a direct supervision and monitoring of schools and staff and our students to make sure that their safety first. When you look at that particular position and the positions that are referenced to Ms. Bryant and look at the cost savings and avoidance category, you will see a figure of $1.376 million where we are aligning positions. So some of this is not extra because as we reduce some of the areas, we will see a balance here. And so that some people may be a little bit unsure about how this would be paid for. We are really balancing that with where staff has been cut.
Okay. One more question and a comment. Dr. Newsom, if you'd be so kind, if I could just have a little bit more clarity on Director of Communication.
Well, it's really a little bit more than a Director of Communications. You will note in the original vacancy notice, the position is actually the Director of Communication and Community Outreach. And so there are two functions in this particular position. In terms of making sure that information and transparency is evident within our school division, that's just one part. But being responsive to our community, to our parents, to all of our stakeholders, that is a key component of this position.
Comment to staff, is it any way possible that we could look at some kind of way futuristically for teachers and principals to get some kind of raise?
I thought I just mentioned that when I said we were going to come back with compensation. The superintendent would put forth a compensation package.
Great.
I would just like to ask Dr. Osborne to give me that total amount again that we're starting with from the state.
$58,210,441. That's based on the governor's proposed budget.
Thank you.
But that includes local,
Right,
and
that's the entire revenue package, yes, yes,
for the general budget.
yes, for the general fund budget, that's correct. Thank you, Dr. Thomas.
Other questions or comments? Reverend Wilson.
Yes, I want to, and I'm sure that the staff will do it, but to emphasize the fact that the savings and cost avoidance, that should be underscored. Because in a number of instances, people in the public may not have quite as much knowledge as some of us might have, and too often they see the last part of it and don't see all the ramifications. And we would underscore those kinds of things and be a little more repetitive with them, so that, because in talking to people, first thing the first question, where the monies are coming from, and it's already here. It's a matter we need to inform them more often about this, and I think everything will work much better.
Other questions or comments? All right, then I believe it would be appropriate to open our public hearing this evening. The public hearing is related specifically to the budget for 2014-15. You've just heard the presentation made to the board and the board's initial reaction to the first draft, and so we now welcome anyone who would like to come and speak. We do have one who has signed up ahead of time, so I will give her the option of going first or last. Which would you prefer?
Get it over with.
I think she's coming first. Beverly Habit, thank you.
Good evening, Chairman Polhamus, Dr. Newsom, members of the board, and other central office staff. My name is Beverly Abbott. I am president of the Danville Education Association. I appreciate the opportunity to comment on Draft 1 of the 2014-15 school budget. The association appreciates the difficult task you as a board face in crafting a budget. We know that the last 2 or more years in particular have been daunting as you dealt with funding shortfalls, school closings, eliminations of positions, including teaching, support, and central office positions. In reviewing the first draft of the proposed budget, it appears that the financial picture is improving. The proposal has listed new positions, deputy superintendent and 2 executive directors, as well as the continuation of Director of Communications, which was funded with carryover money from last budget and is still in the proposed budget. We realize that many of these proposed positions are funded from savings in other areas, which may include possible reorganization. It is commendable that the school board is looking for savings wherever possible. However, we cannot help but be struck by the fact that there is no salary proposal mentioned at this point. The association knows the board members and administration have expressed a desire to provide raises, as seen in the substantial raise recently approved for the board, and the fact that Dr. Newsom has on many occasions expressed his commitment to an increase in salaries across the board. You would be sending a powerful message to your employees if you applied all savings in the budget to salary increases instead of creating new administrative positions, given the trauma Danville Public Schools has suffered over the last 2 or more budget cycles. At the February 21st work session, the Danville Register and Bee reported that board members said, maybe we should look at what we can do to improve the retention and morale of our current teachers so we don't lose the great ones we already have. The DEA agrees wholeheartedly. It should come as no surprise that employee morale in Danville Public Schools is low. Morale has been worsened by tremendous stress and frustration this school year, the increase in paperwork and lengthy after-school meetings beyond regular faculty meetings. There are more reports of teachers losing planning time on a regular basis due to additional meetings. Teachers are working diligently on behalf of their students without having seen a substantial increase in salary since the salary schedule was frozen 6 or more years ago, and there have been no cost of living increases. All interested parties should be doing everything in their power to support teachers, not place additional burdens on them. Danville has already seen some excellent teachers leave during the current year. We cannot afford to have more dedicated teachers leaving in frustration. How do you believe these issues will impact the ability of Danville Public Schools to attract and retain excellent teachers? The association believes that you as board members desire to serve because you want the best possible schools for Danville. We urge you to adopt a budget that demonstrates your support for the employees who work tirelessly every day on behalf of our students, and hope our concerns can be addressed in drafts 2 and 3 of the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Abbott. Very good. Are there other members who would like to come forward? Yes, sir. Please come right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Paloma, Dr. Palomas. Dr. Newsom, school board members, my name is Bill Osick, and I'm here to discuss, I don't know if it's a budget item or not, but it's a request for reduction of fees related to facility rentals. If it's dealing with the budget, I would like to have the school board and the superintendent think about the facility rentals, and that I don't mind people coming from inside the city renting our buildings out or anything like that, but I do have a problem with people coming in from outside the community, renting our facilities, and not paying enough fees as it is for the security, cleanup, and rental of the building itself. I think we need to, we had a problem this past summer at Bonner, where it was rented out before we got there for a whole week of basketball that had, I'm told, not enough security and not enough cleanup, time for them to clean up after they left the building. So I would like to see us keep the, if you're coming from outside the city, that you have, a contract that's enough money that you can cover the security. They didn't have enough, so I was told they didn't have enough security. There's times they had to call the police department up to come over to Bonner Middle School for this basketball tournament that was done during the summer. And even if you talk to some of our custodians, they had to make up time to clean up after these people left. So, and I don't know how true that is or not, but I just want something you should think about to look at. Because I don't want to have people use our facilities, as old as Ms. Osborne says they are, destroying stuff and then not being able to fix it up. Right? Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll certainly check on that. Others who might like to speak? Yes, please, come right ahead.
Good evening, Dr. Polhamus, Dr. Newsom, members of the board. My name is Hope Adams. I am a government and economics personal finance teacher at George Washington High School. I, in fact, teach or have taught several of these young men. My concern is that we are not doing enough as a school board and as a school system to ensure that our young people are staying in our city. Several of my seniors, the only thing that they can talk about is, I can't wait to get out of Danville. And that's sad. We need them. I would like for us to explore the possibility of working with the city council and with other community and business leaders to hold job fairs and other types of events that would help to encourage our young people to keep their talents here, where we need them desperately. As you know from all the reports, our city's getting older. Where is our innovation going to come from if we don't start addressing it today? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak at the public hearing on the proposed budget for next year? Then I will declare that hearing to be concluded. There will be another hearing a month from now at the April meeting, at which point we will have the second draft on the table, and we will be glad to hear comments then as well. All right, we now move forward in our agenda, and this brings us actually to another opportunity for the public to address the board. This would be our general public comments section, where anything of interest to the public schools may come to the lectern. Anyone care to speak to us this evening? Seeing none, then we will move along with our agenda. That then brings us to the reminder of upcoming dates. Board members, you have there in the packet the public notice for March 2014. Anyone in the audience who would like to be made aware of those dates can contact the main switchboard, and they will be happy to send it to you in either electronic or print form. And then I believe that brings us now to an action item, 8.1, personnel recommendations. That would be presented by Dr. Jennings.
Thank you, Dr. Polhamus, and good evening, everyone. The Department of Human Resources has prepared for your review and hopefully your approval some personnel recommendations for this evening. I would be happy to respond to any questions you might have if you would call out the case number. Other than that, we would respectfully request your approval of these 5 recommendations.
Thank you, Dr. Jennings. Are there any questions for her before we put a motion on the floor? Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Jennings, in case 01, is that to replace someone who has left, or is that a new position?
That is replacing a teacher who retired in December.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right, then a motion would be in order.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I move the approval of these recommendations.
Second.
Thank you very much. We have a motion to approve by Reverend Wilson with a second by Dr. Campbell. Any discussion? Then please call the roll.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Dr. Polhamus?
Yes.
Reverend Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Bolton?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jennings. All right, let's see now. That will bring us on down to action from Administrative Services, a request for reduction of fees related to facilities rental. Dr. Osborne, you're going to be presenting that.
We have an individual who has requested a fee waiver for the use of Langston Focus School for an activity in the gymnasium that occurs almost every Sunday during a particular period of the year. This activity is the Freshmore Basketball League, and this activity is for Danville Public School students only. There are currently about 170 students that are participating in this basketball league. The highlights of this league as it applies to Danville Public Schools are the students have to maintain a C average. They may not be suspended. They have to have good behaviors, show good citizenship. And these are students who have not made the basketball team in recent years. The attendance by schools, by students to this activity is outstanding based on reports to us. We have asked the requester, Mr. Edward Bennett, to be here. I have not seen him. Is he here? There's Mr. After Mr. Bennett comes and speaks, I will finish my presentation.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
The scope of this basketball league is, I started a couple of years ago I went to GW, I noticed that there's a limited amount of spots for kids to make the team. And I noticed a lot of these kids, where we have a gap at, other kids can play all the way up to maybe 13-year-old with the city league. But once that stops, there's nowhere else for them to do. So I found a couple of kids that came to me and people talked to me about it. I said, well, won't you, because I coach AAU basketball, so won't you put something together for these kids to do? So last year was our first year in existence. We had maybe 60 kids that came out and participated. And like I said, we had no incidents, we had no problems, anything. And the requirements was, just like Dr. Osmond said, you have to remain in school, you have to keep good grades. All our coaches check your report cards each time they come out. And if you have an F or a bad grade in a certain subject, we have a tutoring session that you go into each day that you have practice until you bring that grade up. If you don't bring that grade up, you cannot no longer participate until it comes up. And so this year we had a total of like 180 kids to come out. And we have 10 teams in existence right now. We haven't had any incidents or had any problems. The problem is right now is just to keep this thing going, is having a place to keep these kids playing at. Like I said, we play on Sundays and we haven't had any incidents. Well, we have certified officials, and the kids are having fun. They're doing very well. I'm very proud of what we're doing so far. And like I said, the thing is, I've noticed, I've talked to Dr. Newsom about also, is when basketball sort of stops, and grades seem to start dropping.
Yeah.
So basketball is one of those sports that we can keep going all along, because as of last year, each one of our kids played on AAU team, all 60 of them. And like I said, that's something we can keep going on in this communication. I have a lot of kids come to me like, I said, why you not playing ball? Well, I'm hanging with my gang, I'm hanging on board with my family. I said, well, this basketball team can be your family. I said, there's no difference. I said, but you're learning, people come to see you, and you can have some fun. So the thing we're doing now, like I said, I got a lot of people that's involved, that volunteer their time, because we're not funded by anybody. All our kids have to become members of the Boys and Girls Club. That is #1 requirement. You have to be a member. So all 170 are members of the Boys and Girls Club, and the Boys and Girls Club are one of our sponsors. They open the building for us for practice and trials and stuff like that, but this has grown. You know, the club can hold so many people, so last year was 6 teams, this year is 10. And like I said, I'm at a point where I don't want to turn anyone away. I have Langston kids, they want to do something, but like I said, we're willing to put something together for Langston and to keep those kids focused and keep them grounded and keep them going. If you could just help us out with all the fees, because right now we charging a couple of dollars at the door to pay for referees and things like that, but it's really getting crunch time for us. So anything you guys can do to help us out, we really appreciate it. Any questions?
Yes, sir. Coach Bennett, let me ask if you have ever approached the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department for possible sponsorship.
Yes, and they're willing to help us out also, but they're running into the same problem, because as we're going on with our season, the little kids and stuff are having their season.
Right.
So they're crunched as far as buildings and stuff to put their kids in also. They're willing to let us also play it, the Square Armory on Sundays also, if we're in the bind. But the thing we're probably having is like places to practice and things like that, and, you know, and places to keep these kids going. So like, I'll be honest with you, we haven't practiced tonight. We got a couple teams practicing tonight, but we haven't had actually practiced about a week and a half, because the club just cannot hold that many kids. We'll still have the functions they have also. So Parks and Recreation are actually, we're having a meeting with them. They are partnership up with us to do whatever they can to try to help us also.
Simply being officially recognized by Parks and Recreation could put you into a different category relative to our policy. You might want to explore that.
Okay.
Are there other questions for the coach? Yes, sir.
Good question. Is it something in place just in case a child is injured?
Yes. We
What
have
is in place for that?
We have actually have a student there that's actually doing medical training and everything. So he's in every game with us in case something like that happens. We keep a trainer that's pretty much certified on hand for that.
Have you had any injuries in the past?
I think the most I've seen in the last was maybe a guy had maybe a nosebleed. That's the only thing I've had, and that was actually last week. He got elbowed in the nose, he had a nosebleed, but other than that was it. We haven't had anybody twist an ankle, because we go through the measures of
stretching, we go through all the measures to try to keep the body. We even, in this program, we also instill healthy habits, teaching the kids to eat right, treat their bodies right, and stuff like that too. So, but the biggest injury we ever had was maybe one nosebleed. Actually, we haven't had any fights. We had one guy that he was trying to fight the referee. As soon as he seen me grab the phone, he left. So, that was it. Other than that, thank God we haven't had any other problem issues. So, yes, ma'am.
Do the participants sign waivers of release?
Yes. I turned that, I think, to Dr. Osmond. We have, you have to sign a contract showing the rules and everything. You sign an insurance waiver and a liability waiver showing that you can participate where there's nothing can come back on us. You volunteer to participate in this program. So there's definitely waivers put in place to cover as far as insurance and things like that. But we also have the Boys and Girls Club insurance on file also. They have covers anything, any damages also. But each kid definitely signs a waiver.
Do we have a lot of adult volunteers to help with this?
Yes, right now I have a total of, besides coaches, with coaches, I have a total of, I would say 19 people.
Now, are they vetted through the Boys and Girls Club? Are they background checked?
Yes, coaches are background checked. The staff people are pretty much background checked. I'm pretty much not bringing anybody around these kids I know that's going to hurt this program. Because, I mean, the program is really a shock to me. Because I was thinking, well, we have a few games and that'll be it. But I have kids now calling up early. I say, when do we start freshman? We want to start. Some of them don't even go out and travel GW. They come straight there. So, but like I said, then we do have a couple of people from outside, like maybe 2 students from Dan River, I think, that plays here in the league. But other than that, everybody's pretty much checked out. Everybody gets along with the kids and they help best they possibly can. And all the time we pay one person to help clean up. That's pretty much it. So everybody else is pretty much volunteers. And I'm glad for that so far.
Do you have a concession stand?
Yes.
Is that much revenue coming in from that?
Like I said, it covers enough to get us to the next game so far. Like I said, luckily it's been enough to get us past the next game. Like I said, people come in getting chips and stuff like that, so it's really not a major thing, money maker, but it gets us past and sort of give me into the next game.
Your games are only on Sunday?
Yes, right now.
That's where you're requesting our facility. What about practices? Did I understand you to say that's at the Boys and Girls Club?
Yes, some of them are.
During the week?
Yeah, during the week, yes. And that's what we try to sometimes find a place to practice, a building we might have that we might can practice maybe a couple hours during the week sometime also.
What's the time frame on Sundays?
Time frame is on Sundays to make sure everybody goes to church and get all that out of the way first, because that's got to be first. So the games start usually around 3:30 or 4 o'clock on Sundays and ends around 7.
For how many weeks?
Usually lasts 12 weeks. And then this year we're going into playoffs. And then we're going to do a championship, and then we're throwing a little fun thing in it where us coaches going to play the players in an all-star game. Just trying to liven up for this. I guess we're going to try. We're going to try to play them anyway. So.
Maybe futuristically you could have the board to come in.
Hey, great idea. Yeah, I think a challenge.
I'm assuming we have a little problems from that from outsiders.
Those
problems. You don't have any problem from outsiders.
I have coaches. If you see some of my coaches, they're kind of big guys. And, we really. I mean, it's amazing that I would think that you would have a few outsiders starting some, but we haven't had any incidents. Most, we might have a little young kids hanging in the hallway, but I clear that pretty quick. But other than that, we haven't had anybody really starting. Now, making people come in there and enjoying the games, actually. And the thing I've been worried about sometimes is, well, when they leave, am I going to have a bunch of people hanging around outside? And it's not that even that. I mean, once we load stuff up, people's gone.
So there is some kind of security there also?
Yes, like I said, actually, a couple of our officials are on the police department.
Oh, great.
Yeah, they own the police department, so, and I use them every chance they get there. Next year, I'm trying to incorporate, talk to maybe the sheriff's department to maybe see if we can get some of the sheriff's and volunteers, assistant coaches.
Yes.
I'll be honest, this program is sort of blew up a little bit because Martinsville called me up over the summer and wanted to start the same program. Lynchburg called me last year and asked me how to get started, and now they got 12 teams in Lynchburg doing the same thing. So it's been really a success. I really believe that we just keep these, like I said, once we can keep these kids together, they want to play ball. They do want, that's one thing I can say about down there, they want to play basketball. And they're learning a lot.
Yeah.
Like I said,
And this is high school age?
yes, these are from, I got a couple from Bonner now. Bonner, I got it from Bonner, a few from Westwood, but it's basically high school. You know, you can, from 13, and we usually stop around 16, but it was like so many 17 and 8th graders, 17 and 18-year-olds want to play. So I was like, what we'll do, I'm not going to give you a championship and all that. What I'll do, I'll find teams to play you. And you'll be under the same rules. So we'll call it the Junior Senior League. And we actually have 38 kids in that one.
So same grade, responsibility,
Same
and so
thing,
forth.
everything.
Is there a regulation about discipline and as well, not discipline in your program, but discipline in their schools? Does that count also toward whether they can
if they get suspended from school, you cannot play. I mean, same. I got to tell them guys when they come out, this is no different than playing at your high school level. That's why I'm giving you high school certified officials each Sunday. You got uniforms. I mean, we're going through the same motion. So when you feel bad like you didn't make the team, you really did make the team. So like I said, I've talked to Mr. Jackson, I've talked to Ms. Fitzgerald a lot. I mean, I wear Ms. Fitzgerald, to be honest, I wear her. But like I said, I'm constantly checking, hey, look, because the kids come to me, well, yeah, my grades is doing this and that. I need to find out. But then a lot of times, like I was telling Ms. Fitzgerald a couple days ago, what happens is, other kids they ain't got this thing for no snitching. They snitch. Yeah. Because they want to play. If they see you playing in front of them, they know your grades ain't right, they going to tell on you. They going to tell on you. So, I mean, that's how I get a lot of my information. Hey, you know, Joe, I got an F on his book. Oh, yeah? Okay. Once you go check Joe out, Joe got an F on his book. Okay, so you know what you got to do. So, that's what a lot of kids, they tell on themselves, but they don't snitch now. But like I said, they're having fun. I got one thing I can say, they're having fun and they play. And we got some guys that's been in some trouble over the years that's doing very well, very well. I mean, I must say myself, so I'm kind of proud of the guys right now. I mean, if I could keep them together after high school, I would. But hey, I can only do what I can do so much right now. So, thank you.
Well, you are to be commended, Coach Bennett. It's a marvelous program that I think is having a very positive impact. So at this point, I'd invite you to have a seat there on that front row, and let's hear the end of Dr. Osborne's comments on the situation, and then we'll figure out what we can do.
Dr. Newsom and I met with Mr. Bennett and asked many of the same questions that you have asked tonight. We are very pleased with the foundations of this program. We work every day to keep our students in school. And we work every day to teach them sportsmanship, to have good grades, to come to school, to stay out of trouble. And this is a program that's doing it. We heard Mr. Osick tonight talk about fees, facility fees. And as Dr. Newsom and I discussed Mr. Bennett's request, we came to the conclusion that we will be able to live with or be able to manage with a $50 fee instead of the $200 that it's costing him each time. The $50 fee per rental time. And he would continue to fill out the facility use form like he does now. He's been very faithful in filling the form out and doing everything that we have asked him to do. And I will tell you that Mrs. Dykes checked the name and grades and attendance of every student that he gave us. And so what he has said is true about the students. Our recommendation to you is $50 a time, which will cover the custodial fee of cleanup as well as opening and closing the building. I did talk with Ms. Fitzgerald about the condition of the gym after everyone left for each of these activities. And her words to me, not exact, but the meaning was it was cleaner after they left. And so they do a really good job of taking care of our facility.
Very good. Are there questions for Dr. Osborne about the recommendation that she is bringing this evening? All right, this is an action item, so what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Dr. Campbell with a second. I think I heard Ms. Hughes first over there.
I'll defer to her. Just as a second, that doesn't make a difference.
There was definitely some eagerness coming from that side of the table. And the proposal then, this motion is to support $50 per rental period for the Freshmore Basketball League, Coach Bennett. Everyone understands the motion? All right, any discussion on that motion? Well, I'll point out that we rarely make exceptions to our rental fees, but I would challenge anyone who thinks this may not be fair, that they don't get, if they'll do things as cleanly and as positively as you have done, I believe they might also have success in getting a reduction. So are we all prepared to vote?
Yes, sir.
Then let us proceed with the vote.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Dr. Paul-Hamus?
Yes.
Reverend Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Bolton?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Coach Bennett. Good luck with all of that.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is, let's see, down here at 13.1, I believe, the Blueprint for Excellence Strategic Plan. Dr. Newsom.
Okay. Unfortunately, it didn't download on my computer.
The false area. Needed an update from Adobe.
Dr. Paul-Hamus and members of the board, I'm very excited to share with you an overview of the Blueprint for Excellence. As we prepare to provide this overview, I would like for you and our audience to consider the following questions. Envision yourself in 2020. Where will you be? What will you be doing? Wherever you envision yourself and whatever you envision you would be doing, you were thinking about your future. Throughout various stages in life, we think about the future very often. Our plans for college, a dream job, our family plans, and retirement plans. Danville Public Schools is also thinking about the future of 6,400 students and 1,100 employees. All school systems in Virginia are required to have a strategic plan. Our strategic plan is our roadmap to take our school system from where we are today to where we want to be. In 2020, what will Danville Schools graduates look like? What will graduates be able to do? What will Danville Schools preschools through 12th graders look like? The Blueprint for Excellence is Danville Public Schools' strategic plan for 2020. This plan answers 5 key questions. What will guide our daily practice? Where will efforts be placed? How will Danville Schools achieve the expectations of all of our students and for all of our students? Who is involved, engaged, and responsible for the Blueprint for Excellence? And when will the Blueprint for Excellence begin? The Blueprint for Excellence is a result of a collaborative effort that includes staff, parents, business leaders, nonprofit partners, and community members. Stakeholders analyzed research and looked into the future of all Danville Public Schools students. The Blueprint for Excellence is a living document that will guide our school system and students towards their destiny. I don't know if you can see this.
It's not on our agenda.
Okay, you don't have it?
I thought, well, they sent it to us as an email, and I forgot to hold it.
I'd like to draw your attention back to the work of the transition team. And the transition team, their work was focused on 4 key pillars. We use the word pillars because pillars support a foundation and they hold up structures. And so these structures, these pillars will cause us to have a strong foundation and build a strong organization. The first pillar is governance and organizational structure. Secondly, operational and financial stability, culture, communication, and public engagement, and 21st century teaching and learning. You can tell I didn't do this PowerPoint, please. Okay, the strategic plan process began with the 100-day entry plan, my listening and learning sessions, the transition team report, and the strategic planning committee and data review. There were 43 stakeholders who met weekly for 2 months. And the progress was updated on the website weekly, and email address was provided for input. We think that our plan and the way we did our plan is unique in this country, wherein not only did our stakeholders participate in the drafting of the document, but we allowed for weekly updates so the public could chime in on what was going on. And so we did have many members of the public who sent emails, made recommendations, and their comments were included in the thinking of our blueprint. Now, what does this mean for students? We had to recraft our vision. And so what does our vision say now? Is that we're preparing students to be world changers. Preparing students to be world changers. And our mission is that our Danville Public Schools will ignite student success. We want everybody else now to come up and do their sections, okay? And so my staff had a chance to lead our small group and discussion groups, and each one of the cabinet members will come forward to present their particular area. No, you can do it from there.
Okay. I have the pleasure of leading the subcommittee that focused on governance and organizational structure. Here you see the focus areas summarized. The first bullet emphasizing the fact that we intend to provide a multicultural environment for our students, with the focus being that they then will be prepared to function effectively in a multicultural world. Next, we're going to support student engagement by recruiting and retaining high-quality professionals. Notice we didn't just say teachers, we mean everyone who will be working with our students. And our group also extended that engagement to include the fact that once our students graduate from DPS schools, they will understand that they need to remain engaged in their own further education or their workplaces, whatever happens next. But engagement will be key throughout life. We intend to increase the capacity of our staff and the system to support the anytime, anywhere learning. There, our job with regard to the governance and organizational structure subcommittee was to look at what are we going to do as employees and as a system to make sure that not only we can deliver the on-time, anywhere learning, but we continue to learn in that fashion ourselves. And the next bullet indicates our concern and focus on maintaining a continuous improvement plan for staff and the system. We hear a lot about continuous school improvement, but we also need to understand that it's the employees, it's the people who make that system and who have to make that school improvement occur. So what are we going to do? And with that, we intend to make sure that each individual staff member feels that he or she too is continuing to improve and, in essence, being lifelong learners. Highlights from our committee work included the fact that one of the first things we intend to do would be to provide professional development in Google Apps for Education, wherein we will train our educators in the use of this tool and the various ways that it can help them become stronger educators, but also continue to learn as well. We intend to have individualized professional development plans for all employees. So it's not just for teachers, administrators, it's for anyone who is employed with us, so that they're looking at how will I continue to grow and learn and become a stronger individual in terms of what I'm doing now or what I might like to do in the future. And as our teacher said before, what I might like to do, to paraphrase, and stay with DPS. Next, looking at comprehensive recruitment plan, we shared with you at the work session our recruitment plan as it stands currently and some things we're planning to do to enhance that. Here we're looking too at making sure we include recruitment for all employee groups. I know we focus on teachers and that's critical. I've been a teacher, so I'm not about to say that's not our essence. At the same time, we have more employees who are not teachers than we have teachers, so we need to look at everyone. Increasing our retention rate. We don't want employees to leave. We don't want our strongest and our best to continue to leave us. So we're going to look at efforts, and we've gotten some actual action steps to help us with retention. To continue to celebrate staff successes, to bring to you award winners, to bring to you and to showcase and highlight with our community staff successes, whether it be whole school or individual. And then our division-wide recognition program, we're looking to enhance what we're currently doing, as you're familiar with, our service awards, which we do each year, and retirements and so forth, but other recognitions as well. That's about how we're going to help our employees to remain happy and get happier and stay with Danville and contribute to give back and to work with our students and the organization in that fashion.
My pillar and the pillar of the committee with which I work is operations and financial stewardship. The first area of focus is fiscal resource allocation. We will develop and reallocate our fiscal resources to provide sufficient funding for successful support and implementation of division priorities while ensuring transparency in the budget development process. Crisis management planning. Develop policies and procedures supported by ongoing training to support schools and continued alignment with best practices in safety and security. And we will also optimize our ongoing emergency preparedness. We will review K-8 attendance zones for equal distribution so that we can develop and implement a student reassignment plan to equalize and redistribute student populations at our elementary and middle schools, and develop a long-range facilities plan. Develop a long-range master facilities plan that supports the framework for a 5-year capital improvement plan. The plan will identify the priorities for future facilities planning and recommendations for future capital funding. Adequate facilities have a significant impact on instructional equity, and any planning must take into account sufficient funding for equitable teaching and learning in all of our facilities. The highlights of our work: the securing and maintaining a grant specialist to help us seek out alternative funding sources, to maintain and increase our safety and security focus, not just for school sites, but for all of our sites, provide ongoing crisis training for every individual that works in the division, and that will be online. We currently offer bloodborne pathogens online, but we want to expand that to include OSHA training and any other training that we can provide that will enhance our employees' skills in dealing with the unexpected. We will develop and maintain a Safe Schools Academy for all administrators so that you don't have to be here at the beginning of school to get the beginning of school safety training, such as bloodborne pathogens, CPR, those kinds of things. But an online and face-to-face, individualized and group training in a Safe Schools Academy package. And eliminate all modular classrooms. We had made some efforts in that arena, but we have it has been necessary for us to backslide due to the closure of schools. So as we move forward with our long-range capital plan, it is important to us that we plan in such a way that we can eliminate our modulars.
For culture, communication, and public engagement, a key area that we looked at as a group is the necessity to communicate with families and not just communicate to families. Students are with their parents, are with families, are out of school 75 to 80% of their week. And so to ensure academic success and opportunities for all, we must tap into the 75 to 80% of the week. Parents and families are our greatest resource in tapping into that. And we also discussed the need to move from parent to families to ensure that we're being open to all, because grandparents, older siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone cares about their child or their niece, nephew's success. And so we want to encourage them all to be a part of this. So the first area of focus is to redefine and increase the communication with our families, to develop relationships to do so. Secondly, to prepare and train schools to provide support to families, because this communication and the relationship that's necessary to engage families must occur at every level and from every employee. This is a focus of everyone, not just a person, not just a department, and not just the principal. Everyone has a part in this. Also, to provide families with resources on preparing children for college and career. Studies, as well as quantitative, qualitative data, even specific to Danville through the listening and learning tours, parents stated, I want to help my child be successful. And at 9 o'clock at night, or maybe midnight, or maybe 2 a.m., when they need help, and when the school door is closed, we want to provide resources on our website, and we want to engage families so that they're able to answer questions, because we do respect that parents and families are their child's most important and most influential teacher. We want to engage and collaborate with community partners, and this was specific to business partnerships, and not just asking businesses, here's how you can help us, but how can we help you? As the teacher mentioned earlier, we are a community, and the success of our students and the success of Danville is dependent upon them seeing themselves as a citizen. And so we want to engage community partners, nonprofit organizations, the faith-based community, and businesses early on, so that students realize it's not just the teacher that cares about my success, it's everybody. And so we need to develop parameters and protocols and guidelines so that we're real clear in what that looks like, and that it's not haphazard. And lastly, again along the lines of keeping students engaged and excited about Danville, is to develop a pride and ownership campaign. And there are two components to this. That's a student pride and ownership campaign, and also a parent, family pride and ownership campaign. And we're excited because there are some other groups that are also looking into this as well. Some highlights include delivering languages, or delivering messages in different languages to ensure that we are communicating effectively with all parents and all family members. There will be more parent-teacher conference days in the calendar for next year. There will be a homeless family communication plan. A lot of our efforts are focused on the availability of social media, of the internet, of a mailbox, of a telephone. And we are aware that we have families that do not have any of those. And so we need a plan that communicates with them and engages them. Parent advisory councils for all schools. A Danville Public Schools Family Summit, and this will occur in the summer of 2015. This will actually be a summit where parents, family members can sign up and spend the day with us, spend the day with partners, and we will showcase our best and brightest teachers. We'll bring our community partners in and really provide them with resources they need beyond the academic focus. A division-wide parent-family handbook, and this will be preschool through college, just to focus on not just the academics, but when do you start reading to a child, and how do you do that, and how can you prepare children prior to kindergarten? How can you prepare children over the summer break? And so really just working with families and providing resources, again, tying back to the community. There are a number of partners that have the answers to those questions, that have opportunities in the summer, over breaks, and so we want to provide all of those resources in one location. A student pride campaign, develop a school business partnership program, online learning opportunities. This will include our presence on iTunes U. Middle and high school curriculum expos. These will be showcases of all classes, all requirements for a standard and advanced studies diploma, beginning in 6th grade, having that conversation, showcased in our fine arts programs, showcased in electives, career and technical education opportunities. And lastly, to have family interest surveys. There will be surveys conducted, not just the satisfaction with the education their child's receiving, but how can we better help them at home? Are they interested in other opportunities, whether it be a GED, an opportunity with the local community college or AVRIT, classes, resources? Do they want us to meet with them off-site? Do they like meeting on-site? So really just tapping into that school by school, because every school is unique.
And the last pillar is 21st century teaching and learning, which is also the pillar that aligns with all three that precedes the committee that I worked with. We're looking at providing a blended learning environment for our pre-K students through 12th grade. And what that encompasses is looking at the curriculum and also focusing on the technology aspect of how we're going to provide the devices to our students and to our teachers to start moving into a blended learning environment of teaching with the instructional technology piece for all students starting in pre-K through 12, which will help our students to advance and be prepared when they step into a college classroom or when they go out into a career field. We're also looking at integrating all curriculum aspects, looking at the social studies, the sciences, the fine arts, and looking at how we can begin to integrate all curriculum and teach from that perspective instead of teaching that in silos. This will help our students across multi areas of their discipline areas to support every area that they want to engage in as we integrate across the curriculum. We're also looking at a focus of a literacy plan for all students in grades pre-K through 12. When you put a focus on literacy in the early grades and across all discipline areas, we know that some of our students are having some areas that they may be deficient in. We want for all teachers and students and parents to be engaged in the literacy aspect so that we are having and promoting more literate learners, our comprehension, our writing skills, all of that are across the board in the area of literacy, that we're producing more students that are literate. We also want to embrace and respect each other, so we're looking at respect and embracing each other with diversity. This is a part of character education and really looking at our students becoming more respectful of each other. and working towards that across all grade levels in our preschools and focusing on that collectively so that we have a more respectful environment in the classroom, out of the classroom as well. And we're also looking at preparing our students for college and career, where we're looking at academies, dual enrollment opportunities, and working here in the area with DCC, the Institute, and ABRIT to provide our students with academy or pathways that they can begin in our early grades, and also, as Hope came up and talked about, career expos. We're looking at that next year, but we're looking at pathways starting at the 6th grade level so our students can begin thinking fundamentally about where they want to go as they exit Danville Public Schools. Some of the highlights in that area are student surveys. We want to gain the interest and understanding of what do our students want and what do they need. We need to talk to our students as well. Many times we think our students want certain things, but we also need to do a student survey to understand what are their interest levels and also where do they want to be prepared in areas of career and college readiness. We're also looking at the one-to-one technology devices as was provided in the budget as one of the new initiatives for this year, which aligns back to the blueprint. So in order for us to walk with the 21st century academies and learning and start blending our technology into our curriculum, we do want to put a focus on putting devices in our students' hands and starting small in key classrooms and start with that curriculum as we blend that with our students. We're also looking at digital student portfolios, which will help us with looking at data in a better way of what will happen from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. These are also called e-portfolios, where each student has a digital data device on them or has a digital bank, actually. And my assessments and all of my ratings, and it will help me or help a parent and a teacher to know where I am, how I can grow, and what I will need to do to expand and grow as I move across Danville Public Schools. And this is something that will stay with the student pre-K through 12. We talked about the pre-K through 12 literacy plan, which is an importance for our students, that we develop literate students and readers. We're also looking at in our high schools implementing in the schedule a SAT prep class. Studies have shown across the nation in many of our successful high schools that when you have an SAT prep course there, our students' SAT scores have a boost in that. And we feel that it is our responsibility to help our students that are on the college track to prepare in school for those SAT courses and those SAT tests that they will be facing so that they will have that opportunity in school to take that prep class. We're also going to focus on differentiation of learning styles and teaching as well. There are many professional development opportunities for our teachers that would like to know how to teach diverse learners. And differentiation is one of those professional development models that can be offered as an opportunity to our teachers so that they will be very productive and proactive when they're teaching our students the curriculum. We're looking at expanding our dual enrollment opportunities. I actually scheduled a meeting today with two of our colleagues at DCC so that we can begin expanding dual enrollment, and they're very excited about what they can bring to Danville Public Schools so that our students are coming out of school with more opportunities for college credit going to our colleges. Many of our neighboring states and some of our counties are having students come right out with an associate's degree, and we're looking at that as well. So we're looking to expand those enrollment opportunities for our students so that they have more selection right here in Danville as we prepare them as they graduate. We're looking at increasing the fine arts in our K-8 opportunities. Dr. Newsom brought that before you as we began our research to open the Fine Arts Academy so that we may focus more on the music, the arts, ballet, choral, orchestra in one of our schools. So we will begin the research on that so that we will have a implementation of a K-8 Fine Arts Academy in Danville Public Schools. We're also looking at comprehensive career plans. which will align with all of the areas above. In the state of Virginia, they are asking that we're implementing career plans next year in grades 7 through 12, but we have mapped out our career plans for grades 6 through 12 so that our students that are making a transition from elementary are already beginning at that 6th grade level. We know middle school are 3 short years, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and we want them to begin preparing for a college and career plan to map out their course if they want to go into cosmetology. Are they thinking about veterinarian? Are they thinking about maintenance, welding? We want for them to begin early as we're building partnerships with the Academy of Engineering and Technology and Virginia State University, and we're hearing more businesses are wanting to come into the area. We want for our students in Danville, as Hope, we couldn't have had a better comment tonight. If our students and the Institute and DRF are planning to bring jobs here, we want to ensure that we have students on track to go right into the jobs at Goodyear or jobs that may be coming here. So we want to boost the opportunities for them to take maths early if they want to get into a STEM education, and that comprehensive career plan will begin building that roadmap at grade 6. We mentioned culinary arts, veterinary sciences, industrial maintenance. We're looking at expanding the career area for our students so that our students will come out with a certificate and ready to go and step into those areas to work. So we are already working with our colleges around in the area so that we're proposing that our students are coming out with a certification in welding and maintenance area as well. And the last one, of course, is our 21st Century Academies, where we're looking at marketing those pathways for our students, world language academies, health academies, fine arts academies, and our students will be on track when they graduate. After we have done all of this, as Dr. Newsom talked about, where will we be in 2020? The key goal, and for us to think about, is what does this mean for our students in Danville Public Schools? And this means that our students will have the whole world in their hands. They're able to walk across the stage at GW, Langston, and Galileo, prepared to enter into any aspect of work or field or career path, and they're able to set their goal on track and be able to compete with other students around the world. Our next steps for you this is our snapshot of the Blueprint for Excellence. And our next steps is that at the work sessions, we will present all action steps to the school board and the community. We are working on completing all final steps with that. It will have a book online that our parents will be able to read and will be able to see, as Dr. Newsom talked about, from his entrance, the transition report, his 100 days, his listening and learning tours, all will be mapped out with that. In addition to some data that we will place online as well, so that you will see the need and the importance of a literacy plan, the need and the importance of a career or college and dual enrollment track for our students. So we will give you that data as well. We'll communicate the Blueprint for Excellence with all stakeholders. There will be public service announcements or PSAs, which will have little recorded videos online of some of our teachers, principals, students involved in that. And you will see them speaking about the Blueprint for Excellence as well, or each of the areas that are under governance, communications, 21st century, and financial operations to support our work. We will have printed copies available as well, so that all of our schools will have the goals and the highlights, which will align with our work as we move forward as a division. And we will continue to develop our strategic objectives to measure student success. We will have a scorecard. We will have online where we are, because we want for the board as well as our community to know that we have work to do through 2020. It may not all begin in 2015. Some may happen by 2018, but you will see where we are, and we will help to progress our success. And you will see where we are as we're on track and where each of our areas of highlights and our goals may be by date, so you will see that, and we'll share the scorecard with you. And we will provide regular updates with you online and at school board meetings. Now we'll show you one of our short public service announcements.
Having devices in my classroom helps foster an engaging atmosphere for my students. They're having to get a topic, research the topic, and then create an assignment using that topic. The students are more engaged on the devices because they're having to work in a collaborative group. They're having to research a topic and then create something for that assignment. Danville Public Schools wants our students to be on the cutting edge of technology as we prepare our students for an ever-changing economy.
Okay. At this time, this could not have been together without the complete work of the committee, and we would like to show our appreciation for all of our stakeholders that came in every Wednesday for 2 months. We started this planning process on Wednesdays from 9:30 till noon with 43 total people in a room at 4 tables together under the leadership of our assistant superintendents. They got off their jobs, they came away from their schools, they left their businesses, they left their children, and they came and they sat with us in this room, and we all talked about what we wanted Danville Public Schools to look like in the year 2020. That vision and mission was set out for all of us, and tonight is what you see as a completed product of the entire committee members. At this time, I would like to recognize all of their hard work because strategic planning is an effort of all parents and community stakeholders and DPS leadership, and I appreciate all of what they did to help us to get to this point. And I appreciate all of their work, all of the conversations, all of the laughter that we had every Wednesday. It was a lot of fun working together with this team, and we appreciate them. So at this time, we have a blue bag for everybody. When you come down, we talked about it would be like the Academy Awards and recognize all of our friends. And we will call out all names, and Melanie's going to give us a bag. I do want to recognize everybody, even if they're not here, because they have put in a lot of work over the 2 months. We had Amanda Oates, who is also one of our partners, and she is a parent. We appreciate Ms. Oates for her work. If she is not here, we're still calling out that name. Andy Thacker. Mr. Thacker is our Director of Exceptional Children. Mr. Thacker, we appreciate your hard work. Thank you very much. Angie Walker is our Staff Development Specialist for Danville Public Schools. Anna Fulton is our ESL Lead Teacher for Danville Public Schools. Autumn Patty is our RTRT for Danville Public Schools. Kara Burton is with the Danville Museum of Fine Arts and History. Carolyn Kirby is our Director of Secondary Instruction for Danville Public Schools. Catherine Pulliam is with Danville Community College. Katia Green is our Coordinator of Title I with Danville Public Schools. Mr. Chris Wilson works at the YMCA and also a parent. Christy Dawson, Principal at Westwood Middle School. Christopher Mitchell is our with the Danville Health Department. Corey Sims is our lead ITRT with Danville Public Schools. Cynthia Johnson, Coordinator of Parent Resource Center with Danville Public Schools. Dave Cochran, Director of Middle School and Accountability with Danville Public Schools. Eva Akins is our parent. Jackie Rochford, Coordinator of Adult Ed and CTE, and Jackie is with our students. Jay Lancaster, Principal of Galilea High School of Danville Public Schools. John Parrish, Director of Technology with Danville Public Schools.
Jonathan Bain, Assistant Principal, Johnson Elementary with Danville Public Schools. Judy Cox, Principal of Woodbury Elementary. Kenny Lewis, Director of Student Support Services with Danville Public Schools. Mr. Leon Ramsey, Director of Maintenance with Danville Public Schools. Miss Lily Jones is with the Danville Social Services Department, and we appreciate her, and she told me she would not be here this evening. Miss Lori Cassida is our Director of Finance with Danville Public Schools. Maria Uregza is our parent. Matthew Arroyo, Dr. Arroyo is with Danville Health Department. Mike Adkins, Director of Transportation with Danville Public Schools. Mona Whittle, Director of Recruitment and Retention with Danville Public Schools. Miss Nakia Carter, Assistant Principal with Gibson Elementary. Patricia Hawkins, Coordinator of Instructional Support Services with Danville Public Schools. Paula Shelton, Parent. Ruth Metters, Parent. Sylvania Miller with SIR Language. Stacy Emsminger, Child Nutritionist with Danville Public Schools. Mr. Stuart Pearson, Parent. Tadashi Totten, 4-H Youth Development. Wesson Claiborne Felder, Social Worker with Danville Public Schools. Dr. Juliet Jennings, Assistant Superintendent for Danville Public Schools. We thank you. Dr. Kathy Osborne, Assistant Superintendent. Melanie Stowe. Annie Bette Smith. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause.
Do you want to share what's in the bag? Do you want to let people know what's in the bag?
Has everybody opened their gifts? No! In the bag. We do have a pad, a Danville Public Schools pad, a pen, and a Danville Public Schools mug.
With the world on it, right?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank
You have one.
Yeah, you have a tumbler with the world on it.
Okay. Wow, any closing comments on all of that, Dr. Newsom?
Well, I would like to personally thank all of our stakeholders, the 43 stakeholders and the many people in the community who are not here tonight who had a hand in this work. And as you can see from our stakeholders, the comprehensive nature of involvement and engagement, total commitment to our children. And as I was thinking about what the presentation and seeing our stakeholders come to be recognized, I couldn't help but think about the little ones tonight. That's what this is all about. Those little ones that came to sing tonight and those wonderful gentlemen and the organization that you saw before you. I'd like the public to know that all that we do is for our children. And so I'm very proud of the work of our committee. I'd like to thank everyone for their involvement, the endless hours of your time and commitment to the future of our children. So you have my sincere gratitude.
Very good. Are there questions or comments from board members? All right, we appreciate that presentation very, very much, and thank you so much for everyone who's been involved in the development of the blueprint. We now move to the update on health insurance renewal rates. Dr. Osborne, shall we be holding our breath on this one?
Twice.
Yeah, okay, thought so.
We have already begun our conversation on what our health insurance rates will look like as we renew for 14-15. I want to give you a little history on our insurance rates over the years. And I will preface those numbers by telling you that since 2009-2010, we have been subsidizing our rising costs of insurance with money from our insurance reserve. We are self-insured, and that means that we collect our money, we pay our bills, and then what is left over we put in our reserve. We have used our reserve for various purposes over the years, not to include personnel, but for projects and most often to help us balance the budget. So in 2009-10, we had a 6% increase. 10-11, a 20% increase. 11-12, a 7% increase. 12-13, a 4% increase. 13-14, 0 increase. And 14-15, we are anticipating a 26% increase. We are taking several steps concerning our health insurance. The board approved digital benefits advisors to help us as a consultant firm, to help us look at two things. They help us look at our current health insurance, where we might be able to save money, where we might be able to tweak our current plan, the things that we can do to save within the current plan that we have. I've had several calls from individuals just this week to talk about how much our staff likes our current insurance because it provides a good plan. It also is so widely accepted by so many hospitals, doctors' offices, medical concerns. And that is truly a weighty factor for us. Even if we went to market and found a much less expensive insurance plan, health insurance plan, it would not benefit our staff if they couldn't find anyone who accepted our insurance cards. So that is a weighty factor for us. We also, in addition to the digital benefits advisors piece, we are also looking at and have issued an RFP and have gone to market and have received proposals from 4 companies, Ms. Cassidy? Is that correct? Do we know? Okay, we know at least 4 companies, and maybe more than that, to provide proposals to us for providing health insurance. And so we will be looking at those, and digital benefits will do what they're paid to do and give us recommendations and ways to tweak. Our self-insurance reserve has grown. We have reduced it because we've taken money out. This year, it really has taken a hit because we've had large claims. Because we're self-insured, we pay what we pay. And so if we have several large claims, and those claims not only cost a significant amount of money that comes from our regular insurance that covers a portion, the remaining has to come out of the reserve, or the ability that we have to put money into the reserve. In other words, it reduces our funding of the reserve. So we have to be careful not to decimate our reserve, not to take too much money out, because we can't. You've heard me say you can only spend it all at one time. Well, this is absolutely the case here. Once the reserve is gone, it's gone. And we have used 600, 700, 800, 600 again per employee from the reserve to offset the cost so that we would not have to increase costs to our employees. We changed a few years ago. We had two separate deductibles, 500 and 1,000. It was recommended to us that we go across the board to 1,000 because it would give us a better rate, so we've done that. And we are looking to digital benefit advisors to give us that very kind of recommendation. You know, if you do this or if you do that, you can stay within the current plan and save this much money. As it stands now, without a significant picture, a significantly different picture, we will have very great difficulty in maintaining the $50 a month that our employees pay at this point. So, I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can right now.
Questions for Dr. Osborne? Yes, Ms. Bryant.
I just want to clarify that we will not consider any other plan from any other company that might monetarily, financially benefit us if the local providers do not accept that plan, correct?
That will be a highly weighted factor. That is absolutely the case. The plan that we have now is accepted everywhere. And, you know, if we had a plan that our hospital wouldn't accept or our major providers in this area, that would not be a benefit to our employees. So that will be a strong consideration as we bring numbers and recommendations to the board. That's correct.
When do you anticipate the recommendations being presented to the board?
We hope to have something by draft 2. It may be the very day of draft 2 for board, because it takes a bit of time to coordinate everything, but we hope to have something that we feel good about recommending to you by that time.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments on this issue? Well, we appreciate getting the news, whether we appreciate the content or not. So we thank you for your diligence in working to find the best possible option for our valuable employees who need good health coverage.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt that's one of the top issues in all of America these days.
Yes.
All right, if there are no further questions for Dr. Osborne, we thank you for that report. And I have slipped a note to the superintendent, and he's done some quick checking. Given the time that we have arrived at, we are going to delay items 16.1 and 17.1 until a future meeting unless someone objects loudly at this point. Hearing none, we're going to go straight to our closing comments. with the city attorney, assistant city attorney getting to go first.
I don't have any comments.
Thank you, sir. And now the superintendent.
I just want to reiterate the pride that I have for our stakeholders for their work on the Blueprint for Excellence. Particularly, I'm proud of our students who presented tonight. I think our future looks very, very good. And to see our gentlemen of distinction, those young men, they represent all of us very well. This afternoon I had a chance to read a story, one of my favorites, Green Eggs and Ham, at the Cardinal Village Center, and we had other students, about 25 of our students were in tow, and we had several readers, and I was very happy to know that not just in school, but our students are actively engaged in after-school programs, and that speaks volumes that they continue to work after school that the teachers have helped them do during the school day.
Very good, thank you. Will you now call the roll for closing comments?
Dr. Campbell?
Mr. Tuma, very proud of you, and you do deserve some credit. I know you don't want it, but thank you for all that you've done and what you continue to do to Grove Park. Enjoyed it much. When I heard the songs, the first person I thought about was Dr. Osborne in reference to the singing. So thank you so much for that. And that's all I have to say.
You're never going to live that down, ever. Never.
Ms. Bryant?
I just want to say I have been tickled to death with the student presentations tonight, the singing and the young men and all their nice attire, and I commend you for that, and good luck when you go to accept your award. I hope everybody is safe in those travels, especially my colleagues here. I want to thank all of the people that have come and shared this time with us as long as it has been, and I want to ask you to please, please, please drive safely home, because it's going to be a little bit slippery out there, and I know there are some people out there that will be driving who have no clue what they're doing, so those of you that do have a clue, please be very, very careful, and thank you for coming tonight.
Mrs. Hall?
I have no comments tonight. Thank you.
Reverend Wilson?
Well, as we saw tonight, we saw demonstrations beginning before school, our preschoolers, and then those young men in the senior highs, and all in between. All those make us so proud to be a part of the system and to see what kind of pupils we are having and the people we have working with them. So we congratulate all of you and keep up the good work.
Mrs. Bolton?
Yes, ditto on Mr. Toomer, wonderful job. The preschools were great. We certainly were happy to recognize our art teachers and our music teachers. They make such a difference in our students' lives and teach them so much. So we're happy to recognize them as well. And I appreciate all the work that's been done on the Blueprint for Excellence, and was a wonderful presentation. It was very, very exciting to see where we're going to be in 2020. Don't know where I'm going to be, but anyway, that is it's been a great evening. Thank you.
Dr. Paul Hamus?
Yes, it has indeed been a fine evening, and my colleagues, I think, have touched all the bases, but I can't help but double back and make one more positive comment about music in the schools. It certainly meant a tremendous amount to me as a young person, all the way up through college. Music was a huge part of my life, even though it never became my profession. It had huge impact in many ways. So we applaud our music and art teachers for the impact that they have on other young people throughout the generations.
And Miss Hughes.
Okay.
Last but not least.
I knew that we were in for a treat, because before we came out, I was in the restroom, and the young lady who took a bow at the end was in there, and she was bouncing off the wall. And I just want to thank all of the parents and grandparents and everyone who support the children of Danville Public Schools here tonight and at home, and continue to encourage them. And I couldn't help but think, as we were listening to the Blueprint for Excellence, where that young lady is going to be in 2020. I'm so excited about everything that's going on. And Mr. Toomer, congratulations, keep up the good work. And I cannot remember the time that I saw so many belts on teenage men at one time in one road.
In the right place.
Yes.
In the right place.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, I think recess might be in order.
I move this meeting of the school board of the city of Danville, Virginia be recessed for 10 minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to recess for 10 minutes. Any discussion? All right, please call the roll.
Dr. Paul Hamus?
Yes.
Reverend Wilson? Ms. Bolton?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Dr. Campbell? Ms. Hall? Ms. Hughes? Yes.